You're listening to a Rock Candy podcast.
I'm Avery Smith, and I'm here to invite you to Blessed Are the Binary Breakers, a multi-faith podcast of transgender stories. Whatever your own relationship to gender and spirituality may be, you will find yourself enriched by the stories shared by my guests, who so far have ranged in religion from Christian and pagan to Jewish, Sikh, atheist, and beyond, and have hailed from the US, Chile, Poland, Australia, and more. Tune in wherever you get your podcasts, or read along with episode transcripts by visiting blessedarethebinarybreakers.com. See you there.
Joey raised a big little job. Get yourself a pickle. Get yourself a boot. Joey raised a big little job. Pickle time is happening. Pickle time. I go down to get some pickles. Bring your grandma and your kids. I go downtown. Bring your grandma and your kids. Boot time. Pickle and boot time. Don't be fickle, get your pickle cider, pop a nickel in your boots. Not a place of ill repute. Bring your grandma and your kids. Come for the pickles, stay for the squids. Stay for the squids. Boots. Put that pickle in your pants. Get some booze inside your hands. Put that pickle in your pants. Get some booze inside your hands. 1996, we start this.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 28. I'm stoked. And you are, if I'm stoked, you are Dave.
I'm what?
Stoked and Dave, the morning show.
I don't have that where I live.
No, I don't have it either. I just made it up.
Oh, no.
But I have been so tired for so long. And the other night, me and you, we couldn't record because we were so beat.
Yeah.
I saved energy tonight. I conserved energy tonight.
Good job, Joe.
Yeah. So
That's great.
I'm in a good I have a mild headache. I think it's a caffeine headache because I really haven't had caffeine today.
Uh-huh.
But and I'm yawning.
That's not good.
So I'm trying to conserve energy by yawning. Doesn't that heat your core?
Yeah, yawning. That's what they say.
Yawning. Heats your core.
You need yawning live at the Acropolis. Is the
Yawning.
album
Yes.
to listen to.
Now, I have to bring something up. I
Okay.
really tried listening to Iron Maiden.
Did ya?
And yeah, and so I this past week I've been listening to different Iron Maiden playlists and things like that. I can't say that I love them, but I don't hate them. And I do right now, most of the songs that I like by Iron Maiden are off the Mark of the Beast album.
Okay.
So I think right now my favorite Iron Maiden is Mark of the Beast or Sign of the Beast, whatever that album is.
Mark
It starts with like Invaders, and then it has the actual song Mark of the Beast on it.
Yeah.
So I like that. I do like that album. Some of the other ones, like I think the first song I heard was Run for the Hills. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. It's that high voice singing
Right.
that I can't get into. So like I can enjoy and kind of listen to it, but it's like that. I think you said it best when you said, "Come on, Steve." It's like that type.
It's like that.
It's like that vocal.
Uh-huh.
I'm waiting for that guy. What's his name? Dick Chamberlain, the lead singer. I'm waiting for him to yell out,
Bruce
"Play it,
Dickinson.
Steve." Yeah, there you go. What did I say?
Dick Chamberlain.
Yeah. What's his name? Bruce Dickinson?
Bruce Dickinson.
Yeah. who coincidentally wrote A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Tales of Bruce Dickinson.
He did.
Little Jiminy Cricket.
He wrote
and
Great Expectations. GRATE. Expectations. A lot of things he's written.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is episode 28.
28.
And in parentheses, I think it's what, 65?
67.
67. Wonderful year.
Yeah.
That was the year the swimming pool was invented.
In 1967 or 1867?
1967, the swimming pool was invented, as was Mittens.
Joe, you are
Mittens.
such a wealth of knowledge.
I know. I've been trying. I've been trying to keep my iron sharp for this podcast. Now, speaking of iron sharp, after our last podcast, I put out the bat signal, the insider signal. I climbed to the top of the tallest building in Royal Oak.
Yeah. People were talking about this.
Yeah, I put the bat symbol up to get the insiders to see if there was any interest in any past members to do a reunion show at Furnace Festival.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, I say that as if we could even play it. Like, everyone's like, call Chad Johnson.
It's called Chad
DM.
Johnson.
Yeah, I have no clue who this guy is. And I looked Chad Johnson up on the Google machine, and an NFL wide receiver
Ocho Cinco.
who changed his name to Ocho Cinco
same
came
guy.
up. So, it is. Okay. So I
He
did
used to work at
DM
Tooth and
him.
Nail. He changed his name to Ocho Cinco.
Okay.
He was known for flamboyant end zone activities.
Sally's. Yeah.
Sally's.
Yeah. So I don't know who this Chad Johnson is. And I also think it's real weird to like DM him and be like, hey, I sing for a band that stopped playing 15 years ago. And we want to play Furnace Fest next year. Any ideas?
You can. You should. He'll do it, dude. There's Mom Jeans.
Well, I
played.
did this.
A band, Mom Jeans. They got back together. Actually, I don't know if they ever stopped playing. I mean,
well, here's the deal. I asked. So, if any of our listeners know this Chad Johnson fella, either hook me up with his contacts or tell him that we would do it. So I text Nate. I said, would you want to do this? He said, heck yes. And then we were even thinking about doing an original, minus Kyle, an original lineup.
just get Kyle up. Get him in there.
Just break him
Just
out.
be like, Kyle, when you're done with making your meth fortune, come on down and play some guitar.
I don't think anyone knows where he is.
I don't know. I just took a drink right when you said that. And like, that's your cue. Reese.
He's on the lam, dude.
Yeah.
I believe he's on the lam. But yeah, so Nate said as soon as I have now mind you, it's a year away.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad's probably not even booking, right?
He's probably
Or
starting
is
to
he?
think about it. I mean, he's probably giving himself a week or two to like relax. But yeah.
Yeah. But if Chad is one of our patronizers, or he listens to this show, Chad, the insiders will answer the call. In one of our songs, we say, in the patron saints of underdogs, we say, call out our name and we'll be there. And so I'm not saying other people, but you, Reese Roper, kind of called out our name, and so we're up for answering the bell.
Okay.
We will come back for Furnace Fest. We will play Furnace Fest, and I'm going to stay there the whole weekend and watch the other bands.
Okay.
I don't even care if we don't get paid. If my payment can be $100 for food for the weekend and an all access pass for the entire weekend, I'm good.
Okay. I think you should do it just because you get to see the other bands and they.
No, we will. I'm not blowing smoke, dude.
not.
We will. I talked to Nate, and he's like, I'm up for it. So we may have a little trouble with finding a guitar player. So we have to go through our past guitar players. So Darcy still lives in the area, but he's extremely busy. And Michael Lloyd.
Darcy is busy messing around with what's that chick from the Jane Eyre? Mr. Darcy.
Oh, man, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. You cultured
It's
folk.
not culture. I'm trying to make a highbrow joke about a book that gosh dang it, what's that book called?
Yeah, that's called a highbrow
You're right.
joke. I don't know. That's called a cultured joke. I'm not that
It's not
cultured.
Charlotte Bronte or Emily Bronte. Emily, did they write? They wrote a book about Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Darcy, who wrote it? Jane Austen. Thank you.
What about Pride, Prejudice, and
So
Zombies?
much better. That book is garbage. If you ever read it, you're gonna have to.
Is
read
it really?
dude? It's like if you can imagine reading like a goofy teen romance novel, but written by people that couldn't have romance. It's so bad. It's like a bunch of giggling whores.
Wait, are we talking about
It's like
the original or the one
no,
with
not
zombies?
the one with zombies. I recommend that. It's a modern classic.
Because unfortunately, the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter sucked.
did?
But the book. So the person who wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter wrote Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. And then I believe there was one other book, I think, that they did as well, that they kind of redid an old classic and then wove in this craziness. But anywho, yes. So the insiders will do it. We have to find so Darcy. We're gonna ask him. Michael Lloyd. We're going to ask him. If Darcy can't do it, we're going to ask Lloyd. Lloyd owns a bar here in Detroit, and I don't even know if he's picked up a guitar in 10 years. So, that might be a little tough.
Garfunkel?
Well, then,
have you reached out to him?
Well, then the other thing is Royce. So
Royce Nunley.
So we could ask him, and then I think
Just tell him to bring the suicide machines with him.
Yeah. And then the last one that if we can't get anybody, I got to see is maybe Ethan Luck would do it.
I bet he would.
Or if someone's got to learn it, maybe Sonny would do it.
Sonny would do it.
Yeah, maybe Sonny would. That just came to me.
Yeah. You just got to drop him $5. He is not cheap.
We'll start negotiations at $2.
Okay.
$2.
That's good. And then if it goes up, then you got room. You have wiggle room.
Yeah. See, Reese, this is the reason why you went with 5-minute walk. You took the first one. You got to negotiate.
Yeah. We should have gone with 6-minute walk or 7 even. But we were just like,
or gumshoe.
That seems like a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I feel like you're playing like Age of Empire there.
I'm playing Age of Empires, Joe. Stop interrupting. This is my special time to play Age of Empires.
You guys, so just so you know, I look at Reese through Skype. So it's a camera on Reese. I'm looking at Reese the whole time. If he looks at me in my little window, it appears that I'm looking at him. But the entire time I'm looking at him, I feel like he's in the bat cave and he's looking at 10 other screens.
I only have 2 other screens right now, Joe. I have a couple windows open though.
You're like, you got OnlyFans, you got eBay.
I don't know what that is. eBay. What's that? Okay.
What?
I don't know. Huh?
What's going on?
Let's get back on the
On the Insiders?
What do we do?
Going
Get back on the Insiders.
Furnace Fest?
I believe it can happen. Here's my vote. Get Royce to do it and get the Suicide Machines. Just make it a package deal. Chad Johnson, just like, you know what? We'll split it 50-50, whatever the royalties you're going to give the Suicide Machines.
Just
Go
give
ahead
it
and
to us.
split it with the Insiders.
We'll
It's
play 2
fine.
songs off their Destruction by Definition album.
Uh-huh.
Now,
I
when
feel
you
like
play...
the Suicide Machines would be perfect for them because it's kind of
for sure.
Like we were by far the sissiest band. Like even
Sunny Day.
Real Estate could beat us up in a fight.
Yeah, probably,
Right.
but don't claim it.
Well, I don't want them to fight me. I told you we were trying to fight Blindside and they never showed. They never even talked. They're a bunch of sissies. Sissies.
They're a bunch of
They
Swedes.
are, man. They're over there.
They just sat in their trailer. The whole time eating meatballs.
Eating meatballs and those red fish that give you bloody diarrhea. That's what they were doing.
Oh.
They were like, "Where's my lutefisk?" And then they didn't even tune in.
They were like, I've never been so happy in my whole
Never
life.
have been. Yeah. So
I'm
they
gonna
haven't
try.
reached out yet. They're
We gotta
still
make.
cheating.
We've made it 3. We've made it 3 podcasts in a row by quoting Austin Powers, gold member.
Perfect. Let's keep it going.
Perfect. That's how my daughter used to say perfect when she was a
Perfect.
kid. Dad, this is perfect. She also said, this is a fun one to say. If you're listening to this, you have to do it on your own while you're in your car, whatever. She would say spoon, but instead of SPOON, it was F as in Frank. FPOON. Spoon. Spoon. Daddy, I need a spoon. And then you'd hand it to her and she'd go, this is perfect. And then the last thing is, she would put chapstick on and she'd be like, Daddy, I need some chapstick.
Save that for when you're married, honey.
Yeah, so that's a little ketchup. That's some ketchup and mustard with the old
Little
insiders.
I think it's gonna happen, Joe. I think it's gonna happen. Insiders reunion.
I hope so. Maybe I could get Chad's PO box and drop him a line.
Just send him a postcard. Wish you were here. That's what it'll say, and it'll have a picture of Detroit, and it'll just have like a raccoon that's been shot in a drive-by, laying in a corner. Wish you were here.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Wish you were here,
Dude,
Chad. If that is your real name.
Does it? Hey, are the Red Wings going to be good this season?
They're going to be
'Cause
entertaining.
The Tigers are in the toilet, and the Lions are the Lions.
Yeah.
What about the
Yeah.
Pistons? Are they any good?
Pistons, I think, are going to be fighting for that last
good.
playoff spot. I think they'll be in the conversation. I think people are going to show up and not be able to put on cruise control against the Pistons. I think they're going to have to play
That's good.
to pull out a win.
And they can always
And then same thing
Yeah.
with the Wings.
that
Yeah. I'm excited. I have tickets for opening
Okay.
night for the Red Wings. in my whole life, I think I've been to like 4 Red Wing games, and I went bananas a couple of months ago when tickets came out, and I bought like tickets to 4 different games. So Heidi and I are going on opening night. Then I'm taking my girls to see Detroit, Toronto. So big rivalry. And then, and the thing is, like, I got really, really, really good seats for all the games. So it's not like nosebleed. I think for the Toronto game, we're like 5th row in the corner. So it's going to be awesome. Yeah. And then, I bought tickets to, there's police night, like hometown heroes night. So police and fire. And so me, the girls, and Heidi, like, we're all going together to that one. And then there's one more. I bought tickets to another one.
The Abs. Who's going to see them? Are they any good?
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to go to the Abs.
I don't know how they did last year.
I mean, they're middle of the road.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't want to bet on them to win the Stanley Cup.
I don't know. I'm thinking about jumping on a bandwagon.
A bangwagon. Oh, that's a website, I think.
Quick, we got to trademark.
Someone had a little Freudian slip there. Don't check the old browser history.
No.
Oh, ladies and gents, if you could see Reese Roper's face right now, he is looking down, quickly deleting all his histories.
No.
The bangwagon.
Joe. So anyway, what's next on the agenda?
So I thought we haven't done one in a while. I thought we'd do a storytelling. And I want to know what's the story behind upbeats and beatdowns. What's the story behind Old West?
Funny you should ask, Joe. No,
yeah.
I don't know. You wanted the whole story?
Yeah. I mean, we got 2 hours here.
2 hours. We got 1 hour.
We got 1 hour, and in that 1 hour, we have 40 minutes left.
Exactly. So. We're not giving these people any more for free. Okay?
Right.
You hear me, guys?
So for 40 minutes, what is the story behind Old West? And ladies and gentlemen, that's the song where it goes, I was leaning up against the bar when she was perpetrating.
That's a different song on that album.
Oh. Well, what's with Old West then? I think that's the one that goes, get out of my yard and give me my chicken.
That's the one. So I don't know why people think I'm a good lyricist. I wrote those words. Anyway, they're so before Five Iron, we've talked about this. We had a band, me and Micah and Keith and Micah's brother, called Exhumator, and I think this might have been before Micah. Like Keith and I would just dink around in my garage trying to make up songs, and I made up a song called "The Old West," and it was like the guitar was like and then this was the chorus. It just goes, "The Old West sucks." It was basically about like how hard it was to live in the Old West. It was super like Wild Stallions, like Bill and Ted song, and the chorus just went, "The Old West sucks." If I had my guitar down here, I would play you something similar.
Man, why didn't Exhumator go further?
I know. So when we started writing songs for Five Iron, I think Micah came up with that song, and he was just like, yeah. And then they kind of took his lick and made it into a song. And when I would get the songs from those guys, they just hand it to me on a tape, or we'd be playing them in practice. and I'd just be sitting there while they're dinking around figuring out the parts, and I'd be like, that sounds like a chorus. I'll make it sound like this. And I just remember hearing that intro, that and it sounded like in an old cowboy movie, like where it was just like spooling up, like the beginning of Bonanza or something, like, you know, where you would expect like dun dun dun, and it's like Green Valley, and then, you know, there'd be shooting, and then I was like, that sounds like the beginning of a Western. And so came back to me that song that we had written in Exterminator, The Old West. And I was like, I'm going to call it The Old West. And I think originally the idea was have it still say The Old West sucks. Or then it was talked about like, we can't do that. People get offended by saying sucks. People's grandparents. So we're going to say the Old West suffers from suction. And then we're like, nobody's going to get that joke. So we just called it the Old West. And I just kind of wanted to make it go along that theme about like, it sounds like a Western. So let's go with that. And, you know, for me, this is funny. When I was in second grade in Steamboat, the fifth graders would always put on plays. And the fifth graders that year, Mr. Beloga was the teacher who, like in hindsight, this dude was maniacal. Like he was known for two things, just losing his shit and throwing desks around.
As a fifth grade teacher.
Yeah, like this is the 70s.
That is amazing.
So he would like flip people's desks over and lose his shit if he was mad, or pulling people's teeth out. So if you had a loose tooth and he found out, he would show up in your classroom and yank your tooth out. And everybody was terrified of this guy, probably because he was like a functional alcoholic as the fifth grade teacher.
And then he saved the teeth too.
Yeah. Tooth Fairy's going to my house tonight. So
he just had a necklace of kids' teeth.
It was like on the third tier by then. 1979, he's up there.
Yeah.
What was it?
It looked like a necklace that like King Tut would have.
Second grade. Was I that? Yeah, it was the 70s, man. It was like, I don't know. So anyway, they put on they would put on a play, and it had to be a history play. And so I just remember up until that point, you know, like I was like every other kid, we'd play cowboys and Indians, and the Indians were the bad guys. Like it was like playing cops and robbers. Like, you know, the cops are the good guys. You know, when you play cowboys and Indians, it's the same, except there was some social norm of these, you know, like these racial stereotypes, and the Indians are the bad guys. And so that's where I was at age 7. And I just remember seeing all of a sudden it was like this history play, and some reason they had full like Indian war bonnets. Like these dudes were totally fucking decked out. And the Indians came out, and they were like, it was history, and it was like whatever, history of Thanksgiving or something. But seeing that, like what was just some white kids in this adaptation of like, this is what Plains Indians look like. Somebody had all that stuff, like somebody's dad had it or something, or maybe Mr. Beloga. But I just remember being like, oh my gosh, that is what I want to be. I want to be an Indian. I want that all the time. And so, you know, I was a pretty nerdy kid. I was very nerdy. And I would always just go check out books for stuff I liked. So I just went like whole hog into, I'm studying Native Americans and culture and tribes, and just for years, for 12, 15 years, it was like everywhere for me. Like I can remember going on vacations as a kid. My parents would be like, "Well, where do you want to go? Disneyland?" And I'd be like, "Mesa Verde," and and both of them would be like, "Well, it's cheaper and educational." Okay, so we went on vacation to all these old Anasazi ruins and yeah, man, it was, I mean, we didn't have much and we didn't go on many vacations, but I can remember lots going to these cool Native American heritage sites and Anasazi ruins. And my parents would totally add to it. You know, like my dad would go on a trip and he brought me back a war bonnet. So like the full Indian headdress, which is cultural appropriation, but you know, whatever. We're in a ska band. So I had that, like these knee-high moccasins. I had regular moccasins. I built my own bone breastplate. I built a choker out of a bunch of 22 shells I found, like at Boy Scouts. They were like, "What are you doing picking up all those bullet shells?" And I was like, "You'll see." So I made like this choker necklace, and it's just shells. It's just bullet shells. I found an axe head in my grandma's yard, and I made it into a tomahawk out of this deer antler I found. Like just stuff like that. And in Steamboat, there was this cool, super cool store. It's still there, FM Lights and Sons. And it's like the old general store from Steamboat. And now they just sell cowboy boots and like cool cowboy shirts and stuff and hats. Like you'll see these billboards driving in this Steamboat like 50 miles out, and it's like Stetson hats, come to FM Lights and Sons, come and do this. Where, you know, like back in the day would be where you'd go buy spools of like barbed wire and cattle feed and stuff to brand your cows. When Steamboat was still like that when I was a kid. It was still, and they probably still sold that stuff. But they also had this huge section, which was like, it was Native American kind of, some of it was touristy stuff and some of it was cool, like cool moccasins. And they were made by like,
paintings and stuff.
And so I was super into it. And that was like all I wanted and all I would get into. And then, you know, for me as a kid, like straight off, I knew, you know, okay, basically our country's a lie. You know, like we stole all this land and we cheated and lied to get here, but we're still doing it. You know, like we're still making shady deals. And so when we got to writing this song in 5 Iron, I was like, it's going to be this, like just talking shit about like how Christianity focuses so much on just like, especially just in the United States, just this nationalism and dispensationalist kind of theology that whatever we do is right, that we're like the right arm of God. And that cannot be, because we have murdered so many people in the name of God and Jesus. You know, for us to still behave like that is abhorrent. So I wanted to kind of just do that. And we knew it was going to be the first song on the album. I think we had the lyrics first. Like we had worked it out a couple times doing shows, but I was like, this is going to be a good song for an album opener. And it's good for 5 Iron. You know, like it just is like, this is 5 Iron. We're going to push the envelope. And I remember having a talk with Frank. He was like very early on. First of all, the first show that we played with Frank was at the Scream. He just had us out there and he wanted to kind of workshop us to see if he wanted to pick us up. Saki and the guys in Dime Store had tried to sell Frank on 5 Iron, and he was like, "Do they love the Lord? You know, like, is it real?" And they didn't know, you know, like they were just like, they're a good band. They're playing in a church. Come on.
Yeah.
So he had us out there. We played like a show in Southern California and then played for Frank at the Scream. And I remember the first conversation he had with us, he was like, "Okay, don't be nervous. just play the hits. And we're like, we don't have hits, dude. Like, we don't have an album. We don't have anything. So I remember making that first album where Frank was like, he was on our side and we knew it and he told us, but he was also like, you probably shouldn't put this first. It is not going to go over well in the Midwest. It's not going to go over good with grandmas and like at the Christian bookstores. But we were like, well, let's see. Because if this doesn't work, nobody's going to like our band. Let's just throw this out there. And if it works, then we have our, this is us. We have our foot in. If it doesn't, then we'll just go back to playing clubs and we'll stay out of the Christian music industry. So we put it on as first song, and it's offensive still to this day.
Now, did you get what's a way to like? I'm going to caveman through this because I don't know my exact question that I want to ask, but because of that, did you get notoriety like outside of music? Like at any point where you like was Five Iron looked at as like, like you have like Rage Against the Machine that you look to them for certain issues. Like, were you ever asked to like speak at anything or to play anything or do anything that dealt with like Native Americans or anything because you guys have spoke out more than just that one song?
Oh yeah, there's like 4 or 5 songs. In fact, the next album, there's a song Banner Year, which is about a thing that happened in Colorado. This Arapaho chief that was murdered and this massacre. Like I love like when people talk about the what happened in Las Vegas. It's the anniversary, and they're like, it's the worst mass shooting in modern times in the United States, because they have to put that, because they don't want to put that like our army gunned down hundreds of women and children at Sand Creek or like several other times.
Yeah.
So we had that, and then Scott, when we came back, he was like, no more songs about Indians, dude. Because there's that.
Really?
There's like The Day We Killed Crazy Horse, which is another one. But then by the time I was writing for Until This Shakes Apart, I was just done with kind of wearing the training wheels. I was like, everybody in the band was kind of throwing in their 2 cents, and I was like, guys, if you ever want to get this done, just let me do my job. Like, just let me write. So it goes back, like we have a song called Bullfight for an Empty Ring. It used to be called Bullfight for the Blood Sucking, but it sounded like bullshit for the butt fucking.
Oh.
Sorry. When I sang it, so we changed it. Bullfight for an Empty Ring. And
you should have called it bullfighting for the boo-fooing.
Yeah, you're right.
And then you wouldn't
the boo-fooing.
You wouldn't have had to say that the butt word.
I didn't say
just
the
say
butt
boo-foo.
word. The only time I've said it is right here on the podcast. And
that goes out to millions.
There are millions of listeners.
Millions of grandmothers.
Oh my gosh. So
had to hear you talk that potty talk.
Yeah, no. yeah. So I worked it back in.
So go on. So then the
going.
training wheels came off.
I don't think we ever nobody ever patted me on the back about this shit until like the last couple years. And then there's like a lot of old fans that are like listening back, and they're like, this is really prescient. Like these guys knew in 1996, they knew this was going on, and they were the only ones talking about it, which makes me feel good. I don't know. I mean, we could have sold more records, I think, if I didn't. But
yeah, no, I doubt it. Because that was the appeal for you guys. That is the appeal for you guys. I mean, look at our fans. Look at the people that get on the discussion page. Like, people want to get on the discussion page to go after like issues and to right wrongs.
Yeah.
Like, though, that is who your fans are. Like, I say it all the time. Like, I ride your coattails. Nobody listens to this show
'cause
for
that's a lie.
insiders.
They don't listen.
Nobody gives two squirts of urine about that. So everyone tunes in to listen about Five Iron and what goes on inside the head of Reese Roper. And I think that's how your fans are. Like, the people, I think by having the training wheels on, that maybe kept you closer in the vein of Supertones and us. Whereas if they would have come off earlier, you know, you guys may have had more crossover success. You know what I mean? It's kind of that hindsight. I don't think you would have lost fans at all.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's too late to tell. I'm glad
here's
we
the
did
thing.
it the way we did, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Right off the rip, like OC Supertones, Motor City Ska, Upbeats and Beatdowns. Like, they're all fun albums. So that is what introduced you to the scene. And then it was, you know, and then our newest album ever, another fun album. And then after that, you know, you start getting into things because you start going through things in life.
Yeah.
It's no longer like the, you know, the just the fun Christian-y stuff that everyone, you know, is just having a blast talking about. Like, you start going through things in your personal life, which you're writing about. Things kind of turn a little darker with lyrics and stuff that come from Five Iron. Still funny, but still the pulse was definitely on darker things that, you know, we had grown up. You know, Motor City Ska was written by a 17-year-old kid. You know, I don't know how old you were when you were writing the songs for Upbeats and Beatdowns. And I keep screwing that up every time I say it.
Fine.
But, you know, so I mean, I think our first couple like your first couple albums did what they was supposed to do. But I don't think you would have like scared fans off when you hit like your third album or that. What was your third one? Wasn't it an EP? Like the Dandelions?
Yeah.
Quantity is Job One.
Quantity is Job One.
So I think like if on Quantity is Job One, if that's where like you would have like dropped the gloves and like really started swinging, I don't think you would have had this mass exodus of fans. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Now in Colorado, I'm guessing I might know the answer to this question of my own, but in Colorado, I had a conversation once with Leonore, and we were talking about politics. And we had a phone conversation where we were talking about politics, and we were kind of talking how, you know, you vote for what is closest to your heart. You vote for what's going on around you. Mm-hmm. And so the issues that happen in Michigan are different and maybe not the same as the issues that are at the forefront in Colorado. Sure. So by saying that, is in Colorado, is it a big like disparity, or is it massive racism or things like that between modern day Colorado and Native Americans?
No,
because here in
kicked them all
because
out.
Because like here in Michigan, all I can do, I mean, obviously I'm not Native American, and so Native Americans could say a completely different story of what they deal with here in Michigan. But as me, as Joe Yerke, growing up, there wasn't like racial jokes about like Indians. Like there's a pride in Michigan with the Huron Indians, the Chippewa Indians, the Sioux Indians, and the history and like what we were taught in school about how the Indians, like, you know, the Native Americans, like, you know, made Michigan like what it was, and like taught people trapping and the stories that we were taught, that it was more like what it's obvious that white people came in and took over, you know, land. Like that's obvious. But it was like we were also taught that like it was like you know, there was we learned a lot from Native Americans, you know, and again, there's there's a pride there that tons of like schools, tons of high schools are named after them. And then those tribes that are still around have given those schools their blessing to say, like, we want you to be like the Hurons. We want you to be, you know, the Chippewas or, you know, whatever the case may be. So I've never seen, like, again, I didn't grow up like hearing like racist jokes about Native Americans.
Yeah.
I didn't, you know, there wasn't any of that. If me personally, if I ever knew somebody was Native American, I always thought that was so cool because I think like that heritage and everything like that is just absolutely kick butt awesome. So like that was always something with me growing up, and I look at my friends and it's kind of like the same thing. Like we didn't play like cowboys and Indians, we played cops and robbers. We, you know, but if you had like the GI Joes, you know, like Spirit, you know, everybody wanted to be Spirit. You know, like all of that stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm blind for what was going on around me, but in my bubble, in my circle of friends and like what we were taught at school, there was always kind of like a reverence, like a really cool thing for Native Americans. And in this area, I never saw like the, you know, I never saw like old people say racist jokes or make comments about Native, you know, the Native people that
So
to
in
hear.
Colorado, part of the history is that when it was becoming a state, one of the ways that they influenced politics in Washington to make Colorado be a state was they killed them or pushed them off of Colorado, all the Native Americans, except there's one small reservation like down in the southwest corner. But like all the Utes got pushed into Utah. The town I grew up in, Steamboat Springs, you know, like the Utes were it was it's this beautiful valley, and the Utes were there for, you know, for hundreds of years. And then settlers got there and they got in all these skirmishes. And so the Utes lit the mountain on fire to scare off the settlers, and then left. And there's still just this giant like place where it's burned out, and it's the ski mountain. And they're like, and it makes great skiing nowadays. Thanks, Utes.
Yeah.
The Arapaho and the Cheyenne, they were pushed off the, you know, like out of the state. Like they created reservations, and then this guy. So during the Civil War, Colorado had like a provincial governor. It wasn't a state yet. They were part of the North. Texas, somehow they got this word that Texas was coming up to annex Colorado to get all the minerals. So Texas was an actual state, and they were sending like a couple battalions up. And so this guy, Colonel John Shivington, who was a Methodist minister, he rallied, got all these miners and sheep ranchers to start a militia, and they went down and they found the Texans. They ambushed them in New Mexico and beat them so badly that they all surrendered. And these guys are miners and you know, and ranchers, so they're like, we're not taking these guys prisoners, these Confederates. So they killed all their horses and mules, and they're like, just walk back to Texas. And then there was a snowstorm, and they all died. So, but
that's like biblical
so
stuff.
Then coming back, this guy Shivington is a hero. The provincial governor, John Evans, wants to become the actual governor. So he, behind closed doors, talks this guy Shivington into going out and, you know, getting the Arapaho and the Southern Cheyenne out of Northwest Colorado. So they went out, and they found this this camp, which was, they had already had an agreement. They were supposed to, you know, they were near this fort. They were peaceful. They had a United States flag flying, show that they were peaceful. All the men were out hunting, so it was just old men and women and children, and they got there and they massacred them, just murdered them, like just cut them down with Gatling guns and their cannons, and then the Arapaho and the Southern Cheyenne left Colorado. They went up into South and North Dakota, and then when you read about like the Battle of Little Bighorn, part of that was the Sioux getting pushed west from Michigan and Minnesota. There were 10 different tribes of the Sioux. They were huge, and they just kept getting pushed further and further west. And as they did, getting more and more angry and more militant. And then you had these guys coming up. And then when Custer is going out there to try and make a name for himself by killing off these tribes, they were ready for him.
I saw a T-shirt like that popped up on my feed that you could get, and it was a picture of Custer, and then it had underneath him, it had the quote, "Uh-oh," and then it said General Custer, and then it had the date of like the day he died. I thought that was great.
So you guys should read up on this. Read up on the Battle of Little Bighorn. Read about Custer. Like, what a complete cheese dick that guy was. Just what a pompous dick he was. But I mean, also part of it was that was our national policy was this westward expansion and the manifest destiny that God had given the United States, the white people, all of that land, and they just had to go take it and push the Indians off, and whatever they had to do to get it was okay. What bothers me now is that people think that happened and we're better, but you can see like we're still making shady deals. The United States government in Alaska, we're still making shady deals with tribes in Alaska, and we're breaking treaties. There is still part of northern Arizona and New Mexico where there are reservations, and we will not allow them. Our federal government will not allow them to have power or water. These people have to live beyond, like, below the poverty line. And it's something, like some policy they made to try and break up those tribes. We're still doing it. It's, like the whole pipeline thing when they were going to push through all these tribal lands, and they were just like, they had to go out and people had to, barricade themselves and chain themselves to bulldozers. That was what, like 5 years ago? It's still happening. Yeah. It's still happening. Like nobody has learned that. We're just like, oh yeah, we did that. Oh, but we need this land now for this. Not that like that is sacred to those people. And like we have not learned as a people, as the United States. It still needs to be talked about. So there's some reading for you.
Well, that's interesting. That's absolutely interesting. Now, so I guess the final thing that I want to say is, because I don't quite think you've answered, I think the question that I'm trying to ask in my head, but like currently, like modern day in Colorado, are Native Americans like looked down upon? Or is it like a segment of the population that, that is, again, like eyes are rolled, or is it just because, again, we don't have that here. Now, mind you, we don't have a whole lot of like Native American kids in schools and stuff like that, unless you get up north where the reservations are, where there are more pockets of Native American families that have, grown up and, obviously like work normal jobs and live in normal homes and stuff like that. Like don't live on reservations.
Yeah.
Also like here, I don't know if it's like that in Colorado, but here in Michigan, like our casinos are all Indian. Like you have to, an Indian tribe has to like back the casino before it's built. And then that money goes to all the members of that tribe. So where my dad lives up north, there's multiple like Native American families, like kind of in his neighborhood. And like, they don't even have to work. They get the casino money, kind of like royalties that really like they make good money with that type of stuff. Is that like in Colorado or?
No, because they're all gone. They pushed them off in the 1800s. So there are not even Native Americans around unless they've left the reservations and moved there. I mean, I don't want to say there's none. It's just like any other people that moves to Colorado, like it's just like a minority group. So there's no casinos. So people aren't making, I'm sure people are making racist jokes because there's a lot of racist people, but it's not like, oh, there's so many Native Americans that grandpa had tons of jokes about it.
Right.
It just doesn't happen, which is sad. Both are sad. I would much rather have them have kept their land and been in Colorado and have racist grandpas making jokes, if that's the trade-off.
Right. Yeah, that's a funny way of looking at it, but yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
Yeah. I was thinking about books that I read that really influenced my thinking on that. And there's like definitely Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. Everybody should read that. There's a guy named Jerry Mander, Jerry Mander. Like,
is this like a Phil McCracken name? Check the stalls for Harry Butts.
He wrote a book called,
check the men's room for Harry Butts.
Yeah. He wrote a book called In the Absence of the Sacred. And it's really good.
I just wrote down Bury Me at Wounded Knee.
I'm trying to think what else. There is a book. This book is incredible. It's by Bruce Cutler. It's called The Massacre at Sand Creek. It's so good. It's like half poetry.
Now, do you read a lot?
Oh, man, I do not.
You seem like to me like someone who's always reading.
Yeah, I used to. And now really it's listening to books on Audible, which I get. It's fine. Here's the problem is that like my ADD is so bad that when I get presented with a large amount of text at work, for instance, they're like, hey, read through this.
Yeah,
I can't. It's so hard for me to focus. I'm so used to just listening to the books or reading small things like on the internet that I'm like, I need to start actually reading books.
Yeah. My daughter, Mia, my youngest, she just turned 16. She's got like the book bug. She got bit since like over the summer. Like her and her little girlfriends all decided to like over the summer they were going to start like a book club. And so they would like, but they didn't have money to each buy the book. So they would buy one book and then everybody would read it and they'd pass it around. And then they talk about it. Well, this is continued. And so here's kids normally every day, like on their phones, tickety tapping away and all that stuff. And Mia, her 16th birthday was last week. And for her birthday, she, in the things that she'd asked for, she asked for this book series and I got her like the set. And it's like 6 books in this series. And then she also, I used to have most of the original books of the Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events. I had most of those. I think there's 13 total, and I think I had the first 9. And so I couldn't find all those old books because she had asked me, she's like, Dad, you know, I really want to go back and read those. Not go back. I want to read them. She's seen the movies. She's seen the television shows. So she wanted to read the books. So long story short, for her birthday, she got these 13 books from, you know, series of unfortunate events. And then she got these other books, these other 6 books. So she's got almost 20 books to read. And she's going through like a book every other day. Like since she got her she's just like, I came home from work today and she'd been home from school for a few hours and she just read until dinner. She came down, we had dinner and everything like that. And then I was getting ready to, you know, to podcast and do all that stuff. And she went back up and she'll read till she has to go to sleep. She walked home from school today and she said that she was reading a book while she was walking. So, so something's clicked in her head where she just cannot get enough to read. And so I remember I've gone through like seasons in my life where all I want to do is read. And then I won't read for like 5 years. And then I'll read. Now, if you do that, what types of books are there? Authors that you like? Are there styles of books that you like to go after?
I used to try and balance it. Like I would read a nonfiction and then a fiction. I went through this phase where I was like, I've got to read all the classics. And then I just burned myself out trying to read like War and Peace and stuff like that. No,
same.
I mean, I really love Charles Dickens, but I read too much Charles Dickens. I do love Ernest Hemingway. And like 2 of my top favorite books are Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man of the Sea, and From Whom the Bell Tolls.
I'm not gonna lie, I've like never gotten into the classics.
Dude, you gotta read The Old Man.
But like when I start like reading like Moby Dick or you know Around the World in 180 Days or whatever that is, like all those, like they haven't ever kept my attention. But like unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, like I'll read like The Hunger Games and I'll love it, you know? Like I'll love The Hunger Games and stuff. So it's real weird. Like I don't get into like Harry Potter, nothing like that. Nowadays, Joe Yerke in 2022, if I'm gonna like pick up a book, like I don't know, I love Max Lucado, and so I always try and get like, if I'm gonna read a book, I always try and get like a Max Lucado book. I'll do those, or I'll do like sports biographies. You know, like I think the last few, it's like just like an athlete that's retired, and like I'll just read about like his career and funny stories that happen behind the scenes. But if I'm going,
you're like, I wonder whatever happened to Brett Favre.
Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble, huh? I send him to prison. And but you know, if I'm in the mood for a fun book, it's usually that. And then if not, if it's more serious and I'm in the more of like I don't want to say self-help, but I'm in more of like a growing, it's Max Lucado, like 10 out of 10 times. Okay. I feel like Max Lucado was put on this planet. I think I've even said this on this show before. I feel like Max Lucado was put on this planet to take the Bible and interpret it for idiots like me.
I don't think I've ever read any of his books, man. I'll have to do it.
I think he just...
What's a good one?
The Sound of Thunder, I think, is one of them that's like really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that one sticks out in my mind. is a really good one. And then another one, he has a lot. Another one that, like, when you read about it, I read this one maybe like a decade ago, maybe more than that. Well, shoot, it was more than that because I've been at my current job for 11 years. And so it's probably 15 years ago I read this book, but it was just about, the gist of the book was accepting that, like, when we accept Christ, when God looks at us, he sees Christ. He doesn't see us. And just kind of through that whole concept and all of that, it was just an amazing book. So whichever book that was, I can find it for you and tell you which one it is. But the other one was something about thunder, like a gentle clap of thunder or gentle roar of thunder, something like that. Okay. All right.
I was going to add to my book list for people to read about Native Americans. There's this guy, James Welch. He wrote a couple nonfictions. Winter in the Blood and Fool's Crow are some of my favorite. Those are the only ones I've read, so I don't want to sound like they're some of my favorite. I've read them; they're good. But he wrote a nonfiction about Custer called "Killing Custer," and it's such a good book.
It's a nonfiction.
Yeah, it's nonfiction.
Okay.
It's about Custer and the Battle of Little Bighorn, but it kind of just talks about like how Custer just was this kind of arrogant prick just going around killing Indians, and he just lucked out. Like, he lucked out several times in the Civil War and kept getting promoted, and he was like last in his class at West Point and just not a very smart guy. He just was lucky until Little Bighorn.
I was thinking you were my brain wasn't clicking. That's why I kind of stalled. My brain stalled because I was thinking fiction, like he wrote a fiction book, kind of like Inglourious Bastards, like fiction and how they end up killing Hitler. That's what I was thinking in my head. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait,
Tarantino should tackle that.
Yeah.
That would be a good movie.
Heck yeah. Like, did you ever see the show Man in the High Tower?
I did not.
Okay.
Was it good? It's about the Nazis?
Well,
like if they succeeded?
Yes, if we lost World War II. So like the western half of the United States is claimed by Japan. It's like the United States is broken into threes. So the west third Japan gets, the east third Germany gets, and then the middle is this like nobody gets it. It's just kind of like that's kind of like the no man's land type deal.
Okay.
Now, when this show was explained to me, as I'm explaining it to you, it sounded really cool. Like history rethought, all that stuff. What's unfortunate on my end is there becomes like a sci-fi plot to it. So instead of it just being historical and saying like, we're going to do a twist on if we didn't win the war, instead there's this sci-fi angle to it where people can travel back and forth in time, and they lost me. At that point, they lost me in the show.
Okay.
But it makes me think what you just said, what we were just talking about with Inglourious Bastards, with Quentin Tarantino redoing it, it would be cool to do, like, what if the Native Americans fought us off?
Yeah.
Like, what if they did win some big battles and we won some, and we're able to have little pockets of people, of pioneers, but overall, like if in 2022, all these Native American tribes were still running the country, it would be neat to see how that plays out, how that would be written, how that would be done.
Yeah.
Let's write it.
Okay.
Let's get rich.
Let's get rich. I forgot about getting rich.
I know.
I forgot.
I always forget about that too. All right, you guys got a little bit extra time. Me and Reese got to do another hour for. Oh no, we're not going to do another hour. We're going to do that later this week. He just shook his head.
Yeah.
So, you guys, thanks so much for listening, and patronizers, thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thanks so much.
Freebies, just continue to spread the word. Talk to Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, and that's that, man. See you.
See you. I mean, peace. No, I screwed it up.
Piece of calzone.
For more shows like this one, visit rockcandyrecordings.com.